Alrighty, everyone, welcome to the stream. I'm your host, Spidercides, and today we have a very special episode with none other than, and it's gonna be hard for me to say this over and over, 11. You know, it's hard to say a name that is a number, right? But yeah, we have 11 here. Welcome, 11. How are you today?
I'm good. Tired but good.
Tired but good. Why are you tired? Why are you tired? You know, it's the weekend.
Because
You
it's
should have
night
all that
time.
energy in the world.
The weekend's the time you recoup from all the stuff from the week.
Do you normally sleep in, or do you normally what's your normal routine?
I don't really sleep in because you kind of like if you I find at least as I got older, as we all are, that if I sleep in on the weekend, then it's like I have to try and readjust every week to get up for work time again, which I hate. So I'd rather just be consistent and therefore it's a bit easier
Gotcha, gotcha.
to
And I
just
heard you
maintain
I
the
heard you work
routine.
out too. I heard you're a beast. I heard you're a beast. Like, is this true? Like, can you on the air verify? Are you a beast in real life?
I, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
But,
Oh, he's
yeah.
modest.
No,
See
yeah.
everyone.
I've been exercising pretty much 6 or 7 days a week since I was like
Six to
18. So
7 days. Holy smokes!
yeah,
Wow.
like
What?
it started off at like 20 minutes, but now it's like roughly like an hour and a half. But I've got an injury similar to what Sofa had actually at the moment, so it's a little bit less than it used to be at the moment.
Were you like Sofa where you didn't go see the doctor? Or did
No,
you
I went
actually go?
straight to the doctor.
Oh, okay.
I went
So
to the
it's-
doctor the next day
gotcha,
and
gotcha.
did
Damn.
physio and stuff, so it's getting there.
Okay, good. You're actually healing opposed to him that now is he's
Yeah,
now wondering what to
I'm
do
not
next.
doing things to aggravate it because I think his lasted a lot longer because of that. But you know,
Yeah, I think with him he didn't well he just didn't want to wait in the in the clinic, right? And having free
yeah,
healthcare, it's just like, well, why don't you go see the doctor? Why don't you go get it checked out? So I'm glad you got yours checked out, and hopefully you get a little bit better, and then get to go to the gym. For me, I don't work out as often as you do. I think to 6 to 7 days, I definitely don't have the time for. But for me, I try to do at least like 3 days a week. But I play sports, so I play basketball and volleyball. I'm that type of guy. Like I join teams and just keep myself active, and I'm very competitive. So that's my thing. But all right, everyone here watching the stream, I'm just going to call out some names that I see in the chat here. So shout out to Chica coming in. We got this is one hell of a name, Top Geezer Fridge Freezer. That is one hell of an awesome name.
I
All
like
right.
that one.
I like that one. We got Inks, of course. By the way, shout out to habirthday.com. That is a website where all these creators are coming together, building events for the anniversary of Habbo Origins. So if you want to support a great cause and be a part of the events, come check it out. Ink says he's tired from enjoying so much premium Guzman food. So we'll talk
I
about
hate
what
cooking
that
in
is.
the
What is Guzman food? What is that? Like I'm Canadian, right? So what is that?
it's like it's like the McDonald's of burrito Mexican restaurants here. It's just like a massive chain of
Okay.
burritos, like fast food burritos and tacos and stuff.
But it's not good, or is it good?
Depends who you ask. I don't think it's particularly great. It's not bad. It's what you'd expect for what you're getting, right? Like fast food is fast food.
Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, because Inks doesn't. He says you're spreading misinformation here, so I don't know. I don't know who to trust right now. um, and then we got Leo. Leo in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And then we got Chiongi. Hopefully, I'm not butchering your name. And of course, we got Active Girl and Geo in the chat. So welcome everyone. Welcome, and Xander Clues here too. So we got a ton of people. This is an early one, very different timing compared to other ones, but we wanted to support the Australian community, which is only two people. We have Ash and 11, of course. That is the only community that actually plays this game. No, I'm just kidding. I think the first question I want to ask you that I'm curious about is time zones play such a big factor in this game, right? Like events,
Yeah,
community events, all these things, right? Even due dates from like room competitions, right? When it comes to
yeah.
those types of scenarios, why do you keep playing? Like, what's your hook? Considering you don't get to really participate in a lot of these things.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for me, I kind of just enjoy stacking, building, sort of testing things out, like bugs and stuff, which is what stacking is really. It's just using bugs in a way to build rooms. But I do, at the same time, I wish there was more things I could join in on. Like Dovak made some effort to adjust some of his circle events so that I it would be within my time zone a little bit. Still not for every Australian because we have quite a wide range of different time zones because the country's so big and goes across different parts of the world.
Right.
But it does, like, I will wake up normally to whatever all the stuff that's happened in for the more popular times of the day. That's when everything's happening. But it's not too bad because there's a small community of people and it does intersect a little bit with the busy time. It's near when I'm going to bed that it starts picking up, but it's not like I miss it completely. Whereas I know for Ash, for example, is in a different time zone to me that misses a lot more because it's quite late before it starts picking up. So I think a lot of the Australian community kind of died off because it's already a small community and then it misses most of the events, particularly once Waltz Matilda wasn't doing it anymore because she actually did in the original, like the first few months or whatever when they were doing the Olympics, a lot of the live events actually did hit Australian time zones, I think, because Waltz Matilda was the one kind of leading it.
You're not wrong. I do remember that, although it wasn't the greatest competition of the year.
No,
But
no, it wasn't. It wasn't
yeah,
great event.
but great timing.
I remember everyone complaining from the EU at the time. So like I get it. So they got a taste of what we get generally, which is that
You're
things
not
not
wrong.
involved.
Even for me, my time zone doesn't really work. Like I'm on the other side, right? Like you're on the one side, I'm on the other side, and then in the middle is the UK time zones, right? So it's when it comes
Yeah,
to that aspect, even I don't really get to take part in a lot of these things. Either I'm at work, so maybe I'm not sleeping like you might be, but I'm at work, right? I'm busy. Like it's my day that I gotta go take care of things for the family.
yeah,
So I think we both suffer in such a way where we don't get to participate in everything. I've missed actually every single Dovak event. The amount of messages and tags I got for this, because I'm on the Flamingo team, the amount of tags I got
yeah,
for like
yeah.
not participating, I was just like, hey, look, I like guys, I'm trying here, man. Like, I got shit to do. I got to pay bills. You know what I mean? So I suffer sometimes, but what would be your suggestion if you were if Sulaki or Sulake, however we're supposed to say it, if you got asked by staff, what's your recommendation? What would you say to them?
I think realistically, right now, we'll talk about it a bit more after, but that
Hmm.
resourcing is hard. Like they don't have a lot of resources given to them for this project. It seems anyway, that's how it appears, just based on the amount of staff and that there hasn't really been any movement in that space for the whole year.
Right.
But they could potentially have thought a little bit harder about the creator circle program. Like I know that their plan currently is one per
Yeah.
few months, that rotates, but I think it might have been good to just think about two that hit the majority of the time zones the best that they could, and then you could have mirrored. They could have worked together and sort of mirrored events a
Hmm.
little bit, and then staff could have leaned on that a bit to at least have some live events. I don't think there's much in terms of official staff stuff that they can really do, because I think it'd be ridiculous to expect people who are already stretched, I think, to then come on during times that are like way late at night or early in the morning for them, or way outside their work hours. Like, it just wouldn't, until they get the resourcing. But
Yeah.
that's more as like, that's above, I think, even Sioux Lake's capability. I think that's a bigger company thing where the money is allocated. That's more
Yeah,
their
I think it's so small, right? Like we have one dev, obviously, and then we got the other staff members that typically jump in to help, but they support other games, right? And
yeah.
I think that's the tough part about the game is there's no support because it's so small. And to be honest with you, thinking about this on the business side, let's be honest, for a community of in total for all three websites being let's say 400, and let's be honest, half of that those people are AFK most of the time. But let's say 400 active users for all three websites. Would you really invest? Maybe not, right? So I get it from that perspective, but I do like what you pointed out with the creator circle. I think right now it makes sense. They started out with one, with the three that they have, one for each hotel. Perfect. I think that's a great way just to test the waters, rule out the
Mm,
kinks. Because let's be honest, when you have too many people in the kitchen, there's a lot of personalities that can come into the mix, right? Drama can
yeah.
happen, mixed opinions, whatever the case may be. So I can understand just starting out small and then growing. I hope they don't swap Dovak out. I think they should just keep him like the leader. You know what I mean? Like have him as the team lead, for example. That's my thought process, and then add, let's say, 2 to 3 more. So I actually don't think having two only would be enough. I actually think having a minimum of 3 to 4 would be perfect. Nothing more than four, but you have your own team. That's my process so that we cover more. For the other hotels, I'm thinking just two max, just because they're obviously
Mm,
significantly smaller than we are, right? And it just wouldn't make sense. If you have 4 people, you pretty much got half the hotel covered, right? So
yeah.
jokes aside, but yeah, no, I think when it comes to that, it should be interesting. Now, another question I have for you that we got asked a few times here is apart from contests and these competitions that you're being a part of, what is your history of Habbo? Like, when did you start? Did you play modern back in the day? Like, what did your journey look like?
Yeah, so I actually played in 2001 for a short time, and I was like an actual child at the time. I couldn't even tell you how old. I'd have to do some math in my head, and I can't be bothered. But it, yeah, I played before there was even private rooms, and then I joined again in like 2003 on the UK hotel. And just around that time, they were talking about opening an Australian hotel, and they did like a pre-registration for that hotel, so you could basically have your account made before the hotel opened. So I had 1-1 made. Everyone says 11, but to me, it was always 1-1 in my head. That's
Oh, okay.
how I think of the username.
So why 1-1 when you were younger? Like, why that number? Like, what was it?
Well, I my username, I'm pretty sure, was something like the number one, or like the double number one, like as
Oh,
in like
okay.
you are the number one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it was just like 1-1, and then I was like, I'll just get that name because I can, because not that many people at the time were super interested in pre-registering for that hotel. It ended up with a pretty big community in the end when it opened in 2004, but that wasn't until November 2004. So I spent a fair amount of time on the UK hotel before then, and then they opened the Australian hotel, and I played that until they merged it, and then I had a fight with this Canadian guy who
Whoa, whoa,
also
whoa,
had
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa, whoa,
911. And what I mean by fight is there wasn't actually a fight, but it was more your name would get changed based on who was more active over time when they merged the two all the hotels into one.
Oh, yeah, I remember the
Yeah.
same thing happening from .ca merging with .com. You're right. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so that's basically what happened was it was between there was no other hotel that had an active user besides Canada.
Mm.
And we were talking like a lot, like it was like a joking sort of like friendly competition basically between us to have our accounts more active than the other to keep the name without getting like a hash or something added to the end of it. I can't remember exactly what they added, but they added like a random symbol basically to a name depending on what hotel you were from. But I ended up winning it out.
Nice. Well, having a two-character username, number one, it's rare, right? Like that's unheard
Yeah,
of, right? And number two, I'm blown away that I have to now look at your username and actually think 1-1. That's wild to me,
yeah.
to be honest. And apparently, Inks in the
Uh,
chat here is saying 1-1 is how you call someone a dog in Japanese. So that's interesting as well. Like,
well, you know what? That's fine by me because I think when people use it as an insult, it makes no sense because who doesn't like dogs? Like,
that's true. I
really?
100% agree. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
exactly. I 100% agree. And now Gio asking, which is a good question. What about Tutu?
Tutu is um, probably someone you wouldn't have wanted to be involved with back then.
Oh, really? Oh, this is a legit. That's actually. Oh, there's a story behind that. Okay, we won't go into that.
Yeah.
Uh, the chat's Geo's going nuts in the chat. Now, in terms of the history, so clearly you've been around for quite some time. Have you stuck around this whole time, or have you just dabbled in like a couple years here, took a break, came back, or did you leave, come back to, or like, what was your journey like, or have you been committed to the game for so long?
I pretty much left the game not long after Mackleby joined as staff in Legacy Hotel. So probably 2013, 2014, somewhere around that point
Yeah.
was when I would have stopped playing. And I had literally just left it for dead, basically. And every time I checked in, like I never hadn't logged in, but I would glance at it from time to time and see the changes and the adding of NFTs and vaults and everything else that they added. And I was just like, there's no chance I would ever touch this game again. And then someone that is involved with another project at Sioux Lake that I still kept in touch with mentioned to me that they were finally, like, I know that there'd been some talk of it a long time ago, and I think even Dom/Dave has mentioned himself that he had pushed for it a long time ago and then it didn't happen.
Right. I do
But
remember that.
they mentioned to me that Origins was happening, basically that they were going to remake the hotel from like one of the older versions running some sort of emulator of Shockwave. And I was like, okay, sounds interesting. And I was like, how long will that be? And I'm pretty sure at the time it was like, oh, in like a week. I think it happened pretty fast from my understanding. Like, I think I didn't hear about it that late on. I don't know how
Mhm.
long they teased it in Modern for or how long
Mhm.
it was planned, but I was like, well, I said, if I can get my original username, then I will join. And if I miss it, then I'll just give up on it. And that was basically the balance was if I hadn't have got my username, I would have just not played it, funnily enough.
Okay,
But I'm glad I
interesting.
did.
So no regrets. No regrets. You're happy.
No,
You're happy you're back.
because yeah, I like this, and I know that, and I can agree that some things that have been introduced I don't particularly like, and I don't particularly think fit the style of what the whole point of and purpose of it is. But I also
Right.
know that it has to change a little bit. And I don't think it's gone or would ever go so far that it's going to end up like modern. Like I know there's that fear, and I get it because I voted against certain Fernie lines because of that. And like I don't want them to keep pulling from those assets, and I know it's a resource issue, but at the same time, I don't see it getting to a point where they're adding diamonds and NFTs and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't think that's an issue that's going to come around. So
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I think when it comes to like, I understand why they do it, even with the badges too. Like, I understand why they pull certain things into the game, because obviously they need to recycle a lot of the stuff, right? It's that's how they save the time and the investment, right? So I get why they do it, but I agree with you. Like, I'm also against a lot of the Fernie lines entering this game. However, it's not like they can keep developing new Fernie lines that easily, right? So it's it's gonna be a tough situation. But you touched on a couple things when it comes to modern itself. Is there anything that modern has that you hope comes into the game? Like, is there something there right now that you're like, you know what, I want this, maybe in a different way? But any thoughts on that?
it's there's most of it's just quality of life stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think, and it's as time goes on, the harder it gets. But using shockwave emulation for this probably long term is not viable. I think they need to think about a different engine that feels almost the same. And I think the problem is they did it with shockwave, which is authentic. But
Yeah,
now we know the feel of that, right? Like, so we're going to know when they switch engines, it will feel a little bit different because it just would. But
yeah,
I think if they'd have just done it from the get go,
I
it
agree
would have
with
felt
you.
close enough that we would have been like, yeah, okay. But then we wouldn't have to worry about like sprite limitations and having to try and like port things through lingo and all the other things that come with Shockwave just being not consistent in terms of like you've got one developer as it is, and
Yeah,
he's very skilled with this particular language and has a lot of background knowledge of it. But at the same time, even when you know everything about it, it can be very finicky. It can play
well,
games with you. It would
I think
do
we
things
know.
that
I think we
you
know
wouldn't
that.
think it would. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've experienced
Everything
that
looks like
side.
it works and then it doesn't. It's just one of
Yeah,
those. And I think, yeah, that's one of the things that modern doesn't have that issue. It has
yeah.
an engine that they can kind of they
Count
want to
on.
do
Yeah,
something that's realistically doable, they can just do it
yeah.
and
When
not
it
worry.
comes,
And rooms can be as big as people want them to be. Like you
yeah,
have wired and all sorts of things,
when it comes to like the
which
other
I know.
when it
Yeah,
comes to
keep
the
going.
other aspects, I was gonna say that I do agree with you, and I have Inks in the chat saying that he actually emulated the feel in Unity, and to touch on Unity a little bit, I my worry is, let's face it, Dave's not gonna be here forever, right? Like he might move on to another company, he might do his own thing, right? Like sometimes people are not gonna be committed to the same job for the rest of their life, right? So my
Yeah,
worry is, well, if he left, who's on the bench, right? Who's that person that is the next one up? Because let's face it, there's not people looking to code lingo, right? There's not people looking to work with an emulated version of Shockwave out in the industry, right? So I think when it comes to Unity, at least you have people out in the industry that can like be on board and be
mm,
there to support and like and feel like they're still, a part of the modern experience in terms of coding and what it is in the world. But that's my worries. Like if he left right now, like right this minute, he's like, you know what, I'm out. I'm tired of this drama. I'm tired of this stuff. I chose my favorite Funky Friday item to be released, yesterday. I'm out.
right.
And then what? And then what happens, right? So that's my worry, right? We have Matthew in the chat saying that he's on the bench. That's a goddamn lie. So there's no one on the bench. But
Yeah,
along with
I think there's people out there for certain people from certain communities which know a fair amount, like maybe equal to or at least close to what he knows,
like who
but at
knows.
the same
Hmm.
time, they're not dedicated to a project like this, and I don't think they would be long term because it's hard. It's very
Yeah.
hard, and I think like although there's things that he does that I disagree with in terms of some things that are implemented and the way that it's handled, I do think that I know that you said like there's that worry, but I actually think he would see this out to the end. I don't actually get
Oh,
a
okay.
sense that
Okay.
he would walk away from this project unless he like maybe came into like an insane sum of money. But even then, I think there's a potential that he might just be like, well, now I can go off on my own and do it exactly how I want and I resource it how I want because I have won the lottery or something like that. But I
True.
think that
True.
he is someone that this is a passion like project, really. Like the things that are being put in, he's just resourcing himself. So
This
I don't see him walking away from this right now unless the company decided to end it. I feel like he will see it till it was sunset, basically.
okay.
But at the same time, you never know. Like you said, it's not good to have one person that only knows how everything works. And I know that he's very thorough with documentation, but who's going to read the documentation and understand it?
Exactly. That's my concern. Like, I'm not saying he'll leave, but like, if anything comes up, right? That's like that's my concern because I run a team at my business, and
Mm,
if I don't have a bench, like if my guys quit or if I got to fire somebody, right? Like, well, who's going to fill in that void, right? So I think that's my concern with it. But you touched on a couple points. I think the one thing I can see from Modern that I personally want to see from Modern come into the game is one of two things. Number one, a basic version of Wired, like very basic. And I've said this in the past, like I'm thinking like you have bots in a room and you do like a cool maze and then you like give a password and they respond with something, right? That's my thought process. I'd love to see something like that. And then number two, I would love to see a basic version of like the Habbo groups. You know what I mean? Like I want us to have like the ability to create our own group rooms, our group badge. Have a bit of an in-game community. Although it gets a little clicky when you do stuff like that, I think it'd be kind of cool to just have that ability. So in your
yeah.
case, there you obviously you talked more on the software side. Is there a feature in the game, like a quality of life feature that you'd want to see here?
Uh, it's been a long time since I've actually touched. I don't even know what stuff that they've added
Oh, you
besides
haven't you haven't
things
logged in at
like
all. You haven't logged into one.
No, no, I haven't. I've not logged in. I don't plan to. But
Oh,
I've
okay.
heard, I have a feeling that the room moderation tools and like the hierarchy of like using groups, for example, there's like a hierarchy of rights, permissions, stuff like that that could
Yes.
be added that would make a fairly big change. Like being able to just go like I'm a host of this game and I want my friends or people who are involved to host sometimes they don't need all these rights or they need more rights. They need to be able to ban someone if they come in and say certain things
You
and
know, I
or
like
do
that.
certain things.
That's a good idea.
Like
Honestly, that's a good
that
idea.
would be a good thing to add. And I think like you said, basic wired, I am all for wired. I mean, I was very good at wired, something I quite enjoyed, wired building, and it looks like it's getting even more technical. But I don't think Origins players would enjoy that, so I wouldn't. I would probably vote against complex wired based off community sentiment more than my own because I would make good use of a lot of the wired stuff that's been added into that game from what I've seen. But I
Well,
don't even know if you'd want to do it the same way, like how it's furniture. Maybe the original wired, I think from memory, was room toggle. sort of thing that you could just add
Yeah,
to your room
it
without
was
having an item.
yeah, it was a room toggle, and then you added in like bots, and then it just moved into like furniture, and then now it's moving into more into commands, like a lot of the commands that you can do now. But it seems
Yeah.
like you would vote against a lot of things, and I want to transition this now to a hot topic, which has been the latest Infobus poll, right? Because that is another thing you're
Yeah.
voting against, right? So for anyone that doesn't know and that hasn't voted in, there's a latest Infobus poll right now that has 3 questions, and it's all regarding NPC shops. So the first question is, should we introduce the concept of NPC shops? The next one is, should we introduce a traveling salesman NPC shop that sells only rare items? And then finally, should NPC shops sell exclusive items that are available only through those shops? So I
Mm.
know that you were a yes, no, no. Let's go piece by
Yeah.
piece. Let's dissect this a little bit. So first question was, should we introduce the concept of NPC shops? I know you said your answer was yes. Could you dive into that a little bit?
The reason that I would say yes to NPCs is the idea is cool. And the original pitch, when it was being theorized, I agree with. I and I think if you allow that one to go through without the others that I don't like for certain reasons, at least there's the ability for Dave to go, okay, they don't want this, but we do have NPC, so we can do something with that. Whether that's polling other options they can add or other ideas of how the NPC could work, or just something else or some other things that he can add. It allows it to exist in the game, which I think it should, because it's something that
Mm-hmm.
can be engaging and cool to like chase a bot around for certain items. I just don't particularly like 2 and 3
Right.
because of some of the stipulations that go with it. Because if it was approached differently, I might have said yes to those two as well. It's really because of how it's handled. I I'm concerned, and I think some people maybe don't see it, or maybe I don't see everything that they see. I didn't manage to make the soapbox, unfortunately. I know that there's a stream, and I'm going to go and watch it just to see what the opinions were because I'm always open to be challenged. Like I don't think I'm always right, and people have convinced me otherwise before when I was pretty strong in my position on something.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to NPC shops, I'm a yes in the first question as well. I think it's cool. It's different. It can maybe bring a different version into the game. Because I play other games like MMO RPGs, any RPGs really, where there are NPC shops in the game, kind of like Destiny 2, for example. So I'm familiar with seeing that aspect in a game, and I think that's kind of cool to see that here in a different element. For question 2 and 3, I think that's where the community is divided on. Like, I think everyone is going to agree with the first one, in most cases, anyways. But I think the 2 and 3, it'll be interesting to see if it passes, right? Because you need 70% at the end. So for the second question, should we introduce a traveling salesman NPC shop that sells only rare items? So I know you're a no on this. Why is that?
The reason that I was a no on that was because it seems to be so when it's only rare, I'm making the assumption that it's and based off also information that Dave's given, which again, I'm not a fan of a lot of how the articles don't clear up some things that are then cleared up then in Discord where it's
Mm-hmm.
hard for everyone to see because I think people might change their opinion if they knew. Like I went between yes and no a few times when he was answering questions, but
Mm-hmm.
for the rares, my understanding is it would be colors of things like ICMs or um, any other rare that's
Oh,
kind
it
of
wouldn't be a
existed that
new.
might
Oh, it
be.
wouldn't be a new rare.
No, no. So I think there's
Oh,
exclusive
okay.
items is the third question, right?
You're right. Yeah. Okay, so that's how it. Because I'll be honest with you, I missed a lot of that chatter in Discord because I was working,
See, that's the
so
problem, isn't it?
I
Like
didn't
you
know.
don't. Yeah, you don't know, which it's not in the article. I really wish that the articles were a little bit more robust on explaining the details of these things because it's a big, like, I'm going to say my biggest hesitation is from playing. I did play, like I said, I played for a long time. I did see a lot of trade based changes come into the game and see how they impacted. And the track history of trade related or economy related changes to the game is pretty much all bad. Like pretty much every single thing that seemed good, even in the initial run through, like gold bars, for example, they were awesome at first. It was cool. You could trade your gold bars around. I know I'm getting off topic, but eventually it became this huge problem, which Dave's also, touched on, where no one needs to buy anything. People hoarded hundreds and hundreds of gold bars, sometimes thousands, and it was really hurting the company's bottom line, and also it just killed most rare values because no one wanted to barter anything. It was like right now HCs are kind of like that, but it's not to the degree that gold bars make it happen, where it's like there is nothing. You're either trading in gold bars or thrones. It was like,
Yeah,
and it
right now
was just
it's
like the throne
HCs
of
and
the
dinos
gold
now at
bar.
this point.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can still sometimes swap rares for rares in Origins right now.
True,
I
true.
think if we'd allowed exchange to pass, even with all the stipulations, I think you might have started to see no one willing to trade it for anything else. And
Yeah,
that's just one example. And then they added diamonds as a way to counteract that, and then they added the marketplace. All things that if you ask the staff or the people that run the game, they regret adding. They say they always regret it. Every single thing they've added, vaults, diamonds, everything. So when they're like want to make a huge trade change and they're saying my main gripe and the reason that I voted no was because of the limit. Them saying that it's a limited pool that everyone pulls from,
yeah.
and also knowing that the system is based on basically if you it will ask you for a certain amount of items, probably a large quantity of certain rares for rares was my understanding. And there's people in the game, and it's not just one person, it's like a, a group,
There's a group
a
of them.
certain
Yeah,
group
I know who
that
you're talking about.
trades
Yeah.
lots of rares back and forth to each
Mm.
other all day every day
Mm-hmm.
in huge quantities. And those people will absolutely corner that stuff, and they'll keep doing so. And I think then there's this thought that they'll run out, or that these rares will become more scarce. But these people are hiding a lot of what they've got. Like it's not just out there and visible. Like there's thousands and thousands of certain items just floating, and then they will also just come around and start buying them up because they have so many. They can kind of drop the value just by spreading a bunch around, giving them out as prizes for things, stuff like that, and then buy up way more while the price is dropped, and then wait for the next NPC shop to want them, and then they just repeat the cycle because they have such a huge influence on that stuff. And I just think it will keep happening. And I didn't really like the approach of like, oh, we'll just let that happen and then we'll adjust because that worries me.
Because it underestimates the community, right? And Dave has, I think that's his track record that I'm worried about. He underestimates what can be done from people, right?
Yeah.
And if it happens, how quickly will he be to action it? Like we still have the Easter Dome, like in the public rooms, and that's like one thing that I keep bringing up every week. That like I can't believe this room is still here, right? But he is spread thin.
Yeah.
So how is he going to manage this project that affects the game, that could affect the game substantially, right? My worry is actually what you touched on is when it comes to an NPC, a bot, selling rare items for certain items, and which in most cases will be for other rares. I feel like people won't trade as often. Like personally, I'll speak for myself. If I know that pillows and ICMs, cola machines, or whatever else are, or even dinos, there's an influx of them in the game, then I know the NPC shop is probably going to ask for them eventually, right? They're not going to ask for like the most popular items or that there's a low inventory of. They're going to ask for the ones that there are high inventory of. And I feel like in my mind, I will be more hesitant to trade some items because I don't want to miss out on an opportunity to get something, right? Because if I go, shoot, I need that pillow. Now, if I go try to find a pillow, no one's going to trade it because all they want is to bring it into the NPC shop, right? And
Yeah.
I know it's case by case, but I don't want to be hit with a situation like that, especially like you said, where there is a limit of how many rares are available. So it that will naturally push people even further to keep the items they have just because they don't want to be that person that, oh shoot, I missed out on this, right? And I know the inventory is supposed to come back and like restock, but let's face it, people are so talented that they can create their own bots. They can do their own thing. It's that's my concern. I feel like the limitation on the inventory should change. I think it should be just open. You have 24 hours. That's it. Done. However many. Kind of like if the rare was posted in the catalog and being sold for credits, it's sold for a specific amount of time, right? I feel like that's how the NPC shops should be treated because the other way, it's a little bit of concern. And I like you said, I don't want them to just pivot. I want them to listen to everyone's feedback and understand. Okay, how can someone take advantage of the situation, right? That's where my
Yeah.
mind goes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And that's kind of part of the other point. Like, we all know there's tools. There's tools that already exist for faster trading.
Yep.
And that was one of the questions kind of asked. Someone asked
That was my yeah. I asked that.
if you were
Yeah.
if you were
Yeah.
trading and someone else beat you to the amount, what would happen? And he just said tough luck. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Tough
like
luck. I
if
was like,
you're up
damn.
against someone running a trade tool that just dumps your entire inventory that it needs into the NPC in like zero point 0.1 second, if you're an average player that is actually not breaking the rules, you lose out,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't
Hey.
think is a good way to handle a system like that. That is another reason. And I think that's why I wanted to vote yes on the first part, because I feel like if it doesn't pass, they're not just going to, hopefully not just go, well, we're just going to leave it with basic normal Fernie only seasonal stuff, and we won't do anything to try and do another version of rares or some sort of thing. I'd hope they would consider other ways or different ways to pool it, because I think that's the main issue. Is like you said, it's people with lots of stuff, and what you're talking about when you're less likely to trade is actually, in my opinion, potentially a push towards the yes if the pool wasn't limited, because I think speculative trading is good. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's good that someone with 50 pillows isn't just going to be like, well, I really need, two fetch machines and 50 pillows are worth nothing. Because if you have the NPC there, it's like, but what if there's 50 pillows, or they wants 20 pillows plus something to get a gold Nelly? And then it makes everyone's thinking that about all the bulk stuff, even though there's lots of them in the game. I think people will be a little bit more hesitant to trade off big loads of them, which then potentially will increase the value of those things. But the problem is, because certain people are hiding huge hordes of things like dino eggs, we know, blue bird baths, yellow
Mm-hmm.
ICMs, smoke machines, the original ones,
Yeah.
and
Colas.
lots of other. And there's also like people that just buy entire, even still, like I think the game's still running because you got that, that group of people who will, and thank God for them, because it means we can keep playing. But they
Mm-hmm.
will buy massive rooms full of like every rare and FF release that comes. So,
Yeah.
and I
The
think
first name
I
the
think
first name that
you
comes to
should
mind
be
is
able to have
Chica.
a game. Yeah, but I think it's good that if you pay more, that you can access these things more. But I think if you had gold Nellies in and they required 80 pillows, just because there's no limit doesn't mean there's going to be a whole lot of golden Ellies entering the game during that time frame. I
Exactly.
just don't think. I think you're still going to see very little of them compared to if you just chuck them in the catalog for a certain amount of credits because people still need to have them.
Yes.
But at least everyone who can accumulate them and does a mad rush to trade people to get the pillows they're missing or whatever it is have a chance at getting it within that time frame. Whereas otherwise, yeah, you just lose to people who already have the stuff who will just carry it around in their hand ready with their tool, and they'll just, as soon as it comes, they'll be in there getting every single one if they have enough, which they generally will.
Yeah, when it comes to that topic as well, time zones play another factor, right? Like when this shop opens up with whatever item, if there's a limitation, what if you're at work? Like this game is not mobile, right? Like if you're not home in front of the
Yeah,
computer, like to open this up, you're gonna miss out, right? And I know Dave mentioned they'll just change the time, like they'll just change it every so often,
yeah,
or like when it restocks. I'm just like, yeah, but like let's face it, that's never gonna get maintained, right? Like that to me, why not just open it up like you said, give everyone a chance. Not everyone is going to have, let's say it's 10 pillows to give away. Not everyone wants
yeah,
to give away 10 pillows, right? Like maybe not. Like I think there was a couple people that don't even like Nellies. They're like, it's okay, it's fine, it's an all right rare,
yeah,
right? And so I don't think everyone's going to be on board, but they people will be on board if there's a limitation, right? You obviously will want to get one because if you don't, you know that the value would be extremely high. Now, my other concern is like
yeah,
if we do that, and obviously there will be an influx of people trying to get rid of their stuff. I don't know if the rares that would be traded in would go up that much anyways. Because let's face it, you're getting rid of the stuff that you don't care about, right? Or people don't care about in the
yeah,
game. Like ICMs, the colas. Let's face it, there's enough colas in the game. There's enough ICMs in the game, and there's also enough pillows in the game as well. Will people really care about that color? You know, and will it go up in a crazy value? Like that's my where my mind goes. Where I go, I don't think so. Right? I feel like they would
right.
still maybe go up a little
I
bit.
think that,
Maybe that's
yeah,
it.
I think it would only be during the cycle. I think they would increase in value during the cycle in which they were tradable to the NPC, and then it would die off. And again, the current system hurts that potential because once if someone who's a whale and has everything just gets them all within the first like 10 minutes, then the yellow ICM stays at its current price because it's like, well, they're useless now again
Yeah. Yeah, they may
because you
not come
can't get
back.
anything with them because someone already got them all.
Because let's face it, let's be honest here for a second. For everyone listening, let's say what is being asked are yellow ICMs. Eventually, the bot is going to stop asking for yellow ICMs because it's only going to ask for items that people actually have that have a good amount, right? They're not going to ask for like a
Yeah,
director's chair. You know what I mean? Like there's certain rares in the game that you know it's never going to ask, right? And I feel like that is where my mind goes with this. Now, when it comes to the third question, the it asks should NPC shops sell exclusive items? This is the one where my head goes. I'm okay with it as long as all of the other aspects are fixed, right? No limitation, right? Like open the time frame a little bit. You know what I mean? Like that's where my mind goes. And I think your reasoning for saying no to question two would be the same for question three. Or am I wrong?
yeah. No, that's correct. Pretty much the exact same issue. It's more about the implementation than the idea itself. If they had come at it with the that it's a time frame, not a pool, a limited pool, I would have just straight ticked yes on all three, like no question. It would have been absolutely fine because I think you'd create cycles, whatever time frame, and you could mess with the time frame a little bit. Like you could make it varied. You could be like sometimes he'll pop up and it's for 4 hours wanting a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever has the stuff and can get there within the 4 hours. Sometimes it's a day. Sometimes it's same with rare releases. It's sometimes at different time frames. That's fine as long as one person can't just get in so fast and just get everything so that you can't. And like, I'm not even a collector. I don't care. I just think for everyone else that people might get upset when they realize that the people who have all the super rares now will have the majority of the thing that maybe they wanted to get and now is inaccessible to them for a long time. Because yes, it will cycle back around. He did say nothing will permanently come in and out, but again, vague on the time frames of what that is. So say a
Yeah,
gold Nelly comes out now, do they mean could come back in a week, or are they going to be like, oh yeah, maybe it will come next year,
next year. Yeah.
maybe it will come in, 18 months. It's like, I don't like that it's so speculative on that front as well, because yeah, it's easy to say, oh, there'll be more, but when?
Yeah.
When would there be more? And
I
obviously, the
agree
value
with
of
you.
the things will be insane if one person or a couple people hold the majority. If four people have like 90% of the golden Ellys, even if there's like 500 around, they're going to be worth tons, and no one's going to be able to get their hands on them unless they just have a lot of stuff to trade.
Yeah, and that's my worry. And we have Maurice in the chat saying they might never ask for yellow ICMs, but Dave obviously threw out an example where there's an influx of an item, and that's true too, right? Like we don't know what items like what wares would be asked, right? There's no like,
Yeah,
there's no example. You know what I mean? Like there's no example of
no,
what that could actually look like. So that's another thing. I feel like the game shouldn't affect the economy like that, right? I feel like that is a big way where people might not end up being as happy as they might think. Personally, I'd rather the NPC shops. I'm cool with the rares and the exclusives as long as they just remove the limited inventory. Just open it up and
yeah,
do at least 24 hours so it covers all time zones. That's it. Make it easy,
yeah,
right? That's my problem. Do that, and I say yes to everything. If not, then I'd rather just have norms like sports Fernie being able to come back. Because let's face it, like that is an item that is able to come back, right? More frequently, but it's all up
yeah,
to what they decide, right? It's almost been one full year. Like next month, if it doesn't come in, we'd be passing a year of sports Fernie in the catalog. And last year, I think the sports Fernie were in the catalog for what? Only a couple weeks, right? I don't think it was that long, anyways.
no, it
So
wasn't too long. And it was towards the start, which is why you look at anything that came out towards the start. Besides rares, everything
mhm.
else is pretty scarce because no
and
one thought
Plu-
about the other stuff.
and I've Pluto Crowd in the chat saying he says that the bot would show up multiple times a day to cover all time zones, but then why not just open it up, right? Like that's my mind. Like that means he's gonna have to manage that, making sure that it opens up properly. Like, let's be honest, everyone. Like there's been glitches. There's been things that has happened in the game. Like look what happened yesterday. Like with the Funky Friday, with the an update being pushed, right? What if there's a maintenance that happens, right? Like there's so many different factors that goes into something like that where it's been mismanaged in the past. So why spread that bandwidth even further? Just do it for the 24 hours. Like do it one day. Like make it easy. Forget about coming
Yeah,
back multiple times a day. Just if you're gonna come back, and just stay. Just stay.
yeah,
Do it like every other game out there that literally has a shop, and there's a have a time limit. There's a ticker, and that's it. And I think that is just a healthy approach. Personally, I think they should have tested the NPC shop with norms first, just to see what it's like, just to see if there's any hiccups. Because let's be honest, like what if there's another bug that we just don't know? Like, what if you yourself are unable to place the item inside this trade? Maybe it glitches on you, right? Maybe this doesn't work. Another
mm.
aspect, I don't know if was this answered while I was at work, but how many people can trade the bot at one time? Like, was that ever answered?
I believe it is that there's no limit on that. It's really about if the pool still has stuff in it. So I think everyone could just be standing there. I don't even think you have to be close. I just think you have to be in the room and you could trade it. But it's more like if you're manually trading versus people who aren't, and there will
Mm-hmm.
be people who aren't. And I know that someone did say like it will, even if it's coming at random times of the day, right? think about it like this. We know enough now to know that it will appear in a public room at a time. Now, it's relatively simple and it already exists to keep an eye on every public room 24/7, waiting for it, and then automatically have yourself go in, like someone could do that and get the item like once it's ready. So even like how do you compete with that as a if
Oh
you're a
yeah,
genuine
true. If you're
user?
trying to get in the room, what if it gets full and you can't get in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee it being that big of an issue, or maybe at first when it first
Hmm.
released, especially if, like my assumption is they're going to drop something cool
Yeah.
if we get yes and it for the anniversary, which is another thing that I'm worried about because speculation, like how long till that thing comes back? Is it special for this? It's one of I feel like Nelly's is going to be something that doesn't come around a lot. If they do that, it will be random. But I think you're going to be up against people who have a lot more than you and are willing to use tools because they're not too worried about being banned.
Yep.
And
And and
what do
nothing
you
will
do
stop
to
them, right?
stop that? Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's going to be interesting. I will say because
it's just
obviously
so
it's a hard one.
hard because it would be so good, but it's like marketplace. Everyone thought that would be cool. Even I did
Yeah,
naively back when they
yeah,
had
me
it.
too.
Marketplace sounds awesome. Like in theory, sounds sick. Like you don't have to go around trade rooms anymore. You can see what the current like highest, lowest pricing for something is, and don't really
Yeah,
need a rare value because you can see what things are trading for historically through the marketplace. Although people do manipulate that a
yeah.
little bit, you get a pretty decent sense over time. But in practice, it ruined so many things. It made such a big negative impact, not just on the company, but user experience with trading items and all sorts of stuff. And I just think the NPC shop has, as it stands, it just isn't ready as
Exactly.
the proposal goes. It's not ready. But again, I'm being good. I'm only voting once for my
Oh yeah.
opinion on it. And
No,
I'll
no, go
let
all out,
the
man. No,
community.
don't let these haters
No,
stop you. All right, you paid
no,
your
no,
money. Right? I'm just kidding.
no. I think this is a big one, and if it's what the community, if 70% of the community want this legitimately,
And so
then
be it. Yeah.
let's see what happens. Let's let it play out. Like I just want to state also, I know that people think, or like it's been said that like I'm a Discord moderator for the like a volunteer,
Hmm.
but I don't think I have any more swing than anyone else with my opinion. I just put it out there. I'm really only want to say it because, like I said, the article I feel like doesn't give the whole picture, and I just think
Hmm.
I want to put it out there to inform others. No one's going to change their mind, I don't think, if they don't agree. They would
True.
only change their mind if the information that I put out there was something that made them think, oh, okay, I wouldn't want that. Whereas they might have even not considered that. That's all. That's the only reason I put it out there. And I think for
Yep.
anyone who's listening to this, like, go with what you feel. Like, no one can tell you what to do. Do vote how you think you should. And if you are willing to take those risks or you don't think that those things will happen,
Yep.
then that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think that's a safe way to put it. You know, like at the end of the day, go with what what you feel, and then let's see what happens. Right, we'll be in our own demise if it doesn't if it doesn't work out, and we'll like everything in the game, we'll complain about it. But yeah, no, I'm very curious to see where the community lies with this one. This is probably the one that we don't know what the result is going to be. You know, when there's a poll and you're like, yeah, this is going to fail, or yeah, this is going to pass. Like the party Fernie, we all knew that was going to fail. Like that was so obvious, right? But when it comes to this one here, I don't actually know which way it's going to go, other than question number one. Question number one is a guarantee. It's going to happen, right? A part
Yeah,
of
I
me,
think
if
I think
it,
one
I,
passes.
it should have been like phases, I think. Like phase one, we launched the NPC shop with norms. Then let's just see how this goes. Then phase two, let's talk about rares and let's see how this is gonna go. Phase three, then let's talk about exclusives. I think that approach would have been healthier rather than, in my opinion, I feel like they're rushing. I feel like they're trying to, because
Yeah,
this poll ends on Sunday. Like, this is a quick poll, right? Because they obviously want to launch it for the anniversary, right? Because we're gonna have a lot. We're probably gonna get an influx of players coming in for the anniversary, seeing what's gonna happen, right? Getting a free badge, probably whatever rare is gonna get given out, whatever, right? I get it, right? But I feel like this is an unhealthy approach, and it seems like people in the chat agree that, as like I'm okay with all of these things. Just remove the inventory limit. Just open it up, do it based on time, give everyone an equal opportunity to get this, and you're like, that's it. Like, and then it's actually an ecotron. Because that's the point of this, right? The point of this is to get rid of the influx of rares that is just sitting in your storage room. Let's be honest, right?
yeah,
But that's all it is. So why not open this up and just have this opportunity, and then we'll see. But I do want to move away
yeah.
from this topic. We've been talking about this for quite a while, and I don't want this to be a whole thing about not giving the community what they want. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding.
They can do
uh,
whatever they want.
exactly.
But just one last thing on before
Yep.
we move on
Hmm.
your suggestion. I think what they could have really done is they could have put it out with an item like a recolored ISIM, something like that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
basically the stipulation would be if we'll put it in, we'll do the whole system that they want to do with the limited pool. We'll run it for 2 weeks and there'll be like a few recolored things that come out in small quantities and see how it goes.
Yep.
And the caveat being, if it passes, those things will stay exclusive as per the vote. And if it fails, then we'll just release those things in the catalog. So you get the best of both. You get to test it. If it is an absolute show and people are just cornering them, then people will vote
Yeah.
against it and will just get released and it won't do any harm long term. And if it all works and I'm completely wrong and there's no real issue, then people will vote yes. And the people who got their recolored items during that time will have their exclusive items and they'll come back around in the NPC shop as planned. But
100%.
this is not what's happening. But it would be cool. And maybe for future ideas, they can think about
And
testing parameters.
and to add to that, and I know I said I was going to move from this topic, but just to add one point, just because of what you said, for me, what I go by is a track record. So here's my example. Here's the best example I can give everyone when it comes to this. We had Battle Ball, right? Battle Ball launched last year, and I remember bringing up issues, and I wasn't the only one when it came to the Battle Ball experience. We mentioned a couple things like, hey, there should be a limit of this. Like, people are just going to stay up all night, and Dave's like, no, like, I doubt that's going to happen, right? He was against it. He was firm on what he believed, right? And then all of a sudden we had people sleeping like no hours, 3 hours maybe, like every couple days, in order to win these dragons. Now, and I feel like underestimating the community, and I feel like we ourselves underestimate the underground, the true underground of the game that's keeping the game alive in some ways. I don't think people realize the other gamers on what they're capable of. And I don't think people actually know how many of these rares are actually in the hands of these people, right? And there's a lot, right? And I feel like that's my worry, where we had Battle Ball, we had that first approach where he's just going to learn from it and improve it for the second time. Well, the second time we allow cheaters now. And he's just like, well, nothing we can do because we didn't state it in the article. Well, you said it the first time that we would stop cheaters. So why is this happening? Like, I don't want this. That's my fear. I don't want to be like, oh, let's just see what happens and then change as we go. No, no, no. Let's stop that. Prevent it now, or else we're gonna have no one's excited for Battle Ball anymore. Like Battle Ball comes in, and now we're just like, well, we're gonna have the same issue now. Like the nameplate hasn't even been given out, right? Are we gonna have situations where things are just not gonna work? And that's my worry. I just feel like the track record isn't there, so we need to slow things down, do phases, or just remove the inventory. And I think that's let's just take a safe approach. Make it easy. Remove the FOMO for something that can be controlled by a smaller community. Like I'm okay with FOMO, like competitions, like Habbo would being for like a director's chair and only 5 people get it. That's cool because the floor was even. Like everyone had a chance. You know what I mean? When you remove that ability, that's when I see like that's the issue, right? And I feel like everyone is going to underestimate each other, and I feel like Dave is a part of that equation. And we'll have to see what happens. And I think we're going to find out the results very quickly. I think on Monday we'll find out the results, and yeah, we'll learn from there. But it seems like people in the chat like some of our ideas, and they agree for the most part. And I know some people. Might have their own opinion. And at the end of the day, the best part is you yourself can vote, right? And then we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the majority thinks. Because the Discord and even the people watching the stream, we are a small portion of what the community thinks. And yeah, we're not able to see or hear everyone's thoughts, right? So, and then huge shout out to Just Too Good TTV. How's it going, buddy? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Yeah. So when it comes to this here, we'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Now, to touch on other topics, very, very briefly, and we'll probably run this for another like 15 to 20 minutes more max. So I do want to jump out on some of these questions here. But out of everything in the past year on Origins, right? Um, what is your favorite thing? Like out of everything, could be a rare, could be an event, could be something, quality of life change. What is the one thing that you go, yeah, that was awesome?
I think, and this is a biased opinion because it speaks to the things that I enjoy, but I personally was very uninterested in doing more building competitions come the end of last year. And I think one of the things that I really enjoyed was when I first saw an article that kind of laid out the reasoning, the images for the picks, and the picks made sense to the brief a little bit. And there's still a little bit of, now and then there's some things that it's like it's not quite right, but I think that was there was just this huge shift from feedback. I think that they actually, it showed that they listened, and it was like one of those moments. It's like we can get there because they listened to the feedback that came from the Christmas one. That was probably like the
Yeah.
peak of
Oh
where
yeah. Oh yeah.
in the room build stuff.
Mhm.
You had the scripting shenanigans, and then that afterwards, and it was just like everyone was so burnt, and myself included, and wasn't really interested in participating meaningfully. And obviously they added hammers and stuff shortly before that point, but I think they upped their game. And again, we've seen it recently. Like it seems like, there might be a little bit of AI to it, but the flavor is still nice. It shows a bit of care, I think, and that's kind of what I enjoy the most, because really the flavor of the game and like the care is what matters most. Like the features will keep things interesting, but it's really like them showing that they give a shit. That's kind of the moments that I'm like, yeah, this is the best part of what this is. Like it brings the community together. You see the positive responses to that stuff, and we see a
Yeah.
lot of complaints. So it's nice
Oh
to see
yeah.
those moments of
Oh yeah.
everyone's coming together like, hell yeah, this is good. Like,
You're telling me you don't like party room competitions for every single type of season?
no, look,
That
I'm
the,
very
the
nervous about this month.
this month is not looking. I don't want to jinx it. Like I don't want to be negative. Like
No, I'm just
when it
nervous
has been the
about the
birthday.
room build competition when you're talking about parties.
That's no. That's what I mean. Like I don't want to
Um,
jinx it. I don't want to say it out loud. That I would hope we're having a room competition, but a part of me feels like it's going to be a party room, and I'm tired of that. So,
Yeah, I'm not doing a party.
well, I personally hope you don't enter. All right, you already got three. All right, stay out of my lane. All right.
Yeah, I did. I thought I would retire, and I will. Okay, even though this is like a little bit of a plug here, but I'm working on something with Bob Barker
Okay.
around
Okay.
stacking, and part of that I've gone through and done some maths on all the building comps up until now, including pre-hammer. I'm talking all the way back to Olympic rooms, and sort of like tallied up points as to who's officially gotten the most wins overall, like in points, and I'm being beaten by Samaya by 1 point. So it makes me want to just
Oh, did
enter
I?
just
Oh,
so that
I
I can
posted
hopefully.
a. Did you see the thread? I posted a spreadsheet
Yeah,
of all
yeah.
the.
I used some of that data to
Okay. Okay.
sort of figure it out as well. But yeah, I saw
Gotcha.
that, and that was part of like I used some of that, and that kind of gave me the idea. So I looked back all the way back to the start, and I'm like, she's beating me by one. Like, can I really step away? Would like it's 1 point difference between
You
me and her
you
right now.
greedy son of a bitch. You know
But
what,
no, I don't.
everyone?
I
You
don't.
know what, everyone? Fuck this guy. And I'm just. No, that's
No,
hey.
no.
At the end of the day, you
But
you
in
do what
all
you want.
honesty,
You know. So.
yeah. In all honesty, I'm probably not entering anything unless I'm like the brief is cool, and if it's a party room, I'm just not that interested in doing a party room. So
Yeah, I I
let some
I
other
I
people
I I
step in.
hope. Let's not jinx it. Let's not put it out in the universe and it happens. You know. But yeah, when it comes to the room competition, I think that's another. It's not as big as a topic as the infobus, but it is an interesting topic because I don't want to say the same people keep winning, but a lot of the same names do pop up. Maybe not in the top three, but they do. They're in the top 20s, and I think it's
Mm.
let's be honest, like it's all rigged, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's at the end of the day, we got some good builders. You know, Samia is one that you brought up. Like she's fantastic, right? Like a fantastic builder, great unique designer. You have a very unique stacking ability where you like to bring in large objects or large figures into the room. I've noticed that about you.
Absolutely.
You try
Yes.
to do like large versions of something, whatever that is. That's what I've noticed. Like your beer, you had a beer. What is that? That the jug, the beer jug.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
had like your
the
bunny.
pint.
That is your trend, and it seems like you've caught on to something, right? Samia, she also does a very similar stacking for every single room she does, right? She does a
Yeah,
lot of the roof stacking. There's a lot of like the over unders where you get to see through things, right? That's her types of
yeah,
stacking, right? So I've noticed that. When it comes to the winners, you've maintained the same type of implementation, so to speak, in these room competitions. It's like you found the itch. Now, my issue is not like I don't care who wins. I honestly don't care. I care that I lose. I'll be honest. I care about that.
no, absolutely.
Like I've lost a lot, and you and I have spoken. I'm just like, damn. Like, I thought this room was good. Like, am I that bad? Like, I've only been in top 20 twice. You know what I mean? So like, I know you and I have spoken in the past where, you know, we both thought like, okay, this room has a chance of mine. Like this might be up there, and it doesn't even show up in the list, right? So my issue
Yeah.
is there's only one judge. By the way, like for everyone wondering, there is only one judge for the rooms. Like it's not a team. It's nothing. It's one judge. However, I have confirmed that they do rotate it from time to time. Like it's not the same person judging the rooms. Now, my issue is I I need them to either have more opinions for each competition, like more than one person, or change it, guarantee a change every single time. You know what I mean? Because I think everyone has their own natural bias. Like, let's say the room that we're in right now, I think it's good, obviously, because I'm biased and this is what I think. But if anyone were to build this room, I
Yeah.
think it's cute. I think it's different. But let's face it, not everyone's going to agree with me, right? However, if I saw more rooms
No.
like this, I'm probably going to vote for it because I think it's cute. I think it's different, right? And I think everyone has their own taste. And unless you change the judge, like you'll never win or be in the list because you don't fit that theme. Remember you and I remember when I brought this up in the Discord. I don't know if anyone here in the chat will remember, but I've said it a couple times, very like nonchalantly. But there's been many mirrored designs that have won on in the BR and ES. And those other hotels, there's been a lot of mirrored room designs where it's like the room that is the X, it's the one that layout that looks like an X, and then it's a mirror where the left side of the room looks identical to the right side. I've noticed a trend with that, but they might have understood that the judge likes that. And the judge is always going to choose those types of rooms because they think it's good because that's their style, right? What's your thoughts on that in terms of like judging, in terms of what I've said overall, in terms of the room comps winners?
Look, I am inclined to agree that there is a bias towards a particular type of room style, and it's something that I personally, some of the rooms that I built, and we have spoken about this, I have not built in my own style completely. I've actually considered, looked at what has won across the hotels
Yep.
and adjusted my rooms to look like that.
Yep.
And I
I
think
noticed that. I noticed that.
I I
I
got
noticed
all
that.
the
Yeah.
hammers back to back by
Yep.
doing that. Like
Yep.
I hadn't been doing that, and I think if I'd have done it with my pint room, if I'd adjusted that to
Oh,
be
100%.
more symmetrical, I probably wouldn't have got fourth on that
Remember when
one,
you did it for
which was my
Bunny?
first.
Your Bunny room is symmetrical, and that literally won, right? Like,
Yeah, that was
eh,
the first place
yep,
off that.
yep,
And
right.
then even with the Haverwood room, like there's
Mm-hmm.
some different stuff on the sides, but the room layout is mirrored overall. It's a
Yes,
mirror.
exactly. I noticed that, and I'm just like, this son of a bitch has found it. He's cracked the code. You know what I mean? Because you and I literally talked about it months ago. I think we talked about it in. I think it was right after the Christmas rooms. I think it was like January.
Yeah,
You and I spoke, and we're like, there's a bit of a theme here. And we have Groot in the chat, who's a fantastic room builder. He does a cute
absolutely.
style. He's one of the best. He does a very color specific type of room where like they blend so nicely. It honestly looks like a painting, and it looks great. And his rooms are very honestly, he's one of my favorites. I love this style because it just stands out. But I know Groot won't win because he does the same types of room because that's what he thinks is good, and he loves those styles. But like I think, what was the one that remember the treehouse room that he's built? You and I can both
Yeah,
agree that room is badass. Like that's an awesome room, right? But it
yeah,
hasn't won. Not even when Ash recreated it with like Groot's permission in that room comp, like she didn't win either. Like it's clear that the judge doesn't like that style, right? And I think
yeah,
until you find, like, I don't want us to have a room competition where we're learning what the judge likes. That's not how it should be, right? It should be like, is this
yeah.
a good room? Yes or no. And that's why I brought in the feedback. I know this is a hot take. I hate the fluff. I don't see the point of having a little paragraph on every room where like they say like how many like why they like the room. I don't mind it as much, but I don't like that as being the main point of their reasoning to choose the room. Because let's face it, some rooms don't fit the briefing, right? What I want is a quantitative like data. Like I want something like I want a rating scale. Like I know it's a
Yeah, to
hot
do
take.
that, you would need what you said, though. You'd need multiple
You need
judges
multiple.
hitting it
Yes,
because you can't.
exactly. 100%.
Otherwise, it's just biased.
Yeah,
Absolutely biased still.
yeah, 100%, 100%. You need
Yeah,
multiple judges for that. It's basically how you and I, because we're part of Dovak's judging team previously when he did room comps. The way we
yeah,
did it, that was the way to do it. Like that's how you do it. Like you get your own opinion, you put in a rating scale on what you believe, and then you put it out
yeah,
there, and then it compiles into a final stage where a winner pops up, and then it gets more opinions in there because let's face it, yes, they may switch the judge from time to time, but let's be honest, if you were to pull like that Excel spreadsheet, I thought about it. I really thought about putting making a PDF and putting all the room winners for the top threes and really showing like side by side all of them what they look like, and you'll notice the trend
Mm.
is there, right? And which is obvious. I think everyone here can look back and see a trend. I don't want that to be the case where we're trying to build rooms to fit a biased opinion, right? I want us to just build a great room, like someone like Groot, like I mentioned, fantastic builder, stands out, hasn't won, hasn't really been up there. I like to consider myself a good builder. I'm not up there either, and there's some other great ones out there that haven't had that spotlight. But you cracked the code, man, and you've been killing it. Samya has been one of the best out there, killed it, and I know Dino does not know how to stay away from the top 20. Like he's been there every single
Mm.
time. Like he's a monster, right? He's cracked the code,
Yeah,
and I
but
think he
I
also plays
honestly
on other
think,
hotels too.
yeah, I honestly think in particular, Samaya, that her style, that's hers. Like that's
Yes,
actually her. That she just happens to have the style
that
that they
fits.
love, and
Yes,
I absolutely love her style also. But as you said, there's people whom have barely touched the top 20 on occasions or have had runners up a few times, and I've looked at their rooms and even like against my own that have placed higher, gone, I personally, if I was judging, my bias actually swings towards some of those rooms that sometimes didn't even make it in. And I think, like you said, with having one person, that's what would happen. Because my personal bias would come in if I was the only one, which is why Dovak's system, how we kind of all blindly put our ratings in, not knowing each other's ratings, and then it's
yeah,
comes together, and you kind of go, okay, amongst five or six people, this is the general scale of those, criteria based on the brief.
yeah.
This is who's hit them the most, and then they're the ones that win. And then, like, if we wanted to, Dovak never did the breakdown, which maybe we should have, just to give an example of how it could work if they wanted to do it that
We
way. But
honestly
again,
should
it's a
show like what we
resourcing
do,
issue. We know they
how
don't have stuff, so they can't.
yeah. It's a lot of resourcing because how we did it, I think was a good way. Like Dobek was smart that like how he developed it. Um, but I know at the end of the day, there's really not a staff team for Origins, right? Like they help multiple games, like, and only Dave is really the main person that handles it. So it's it's a tough topic at the end of the day, and hopefully things hopefully there is briefings out there that will kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit. I suggested the ideas that they should
Yeah,
restrict items. Like you're not allowed to use cabin fernie, or you can only do it in this room, or you can't do this, or you can only do that. I personally want to see stuff like that to challenge people even more, and also challenge the judges, whoever is judging it. Because if you say like in a briefing, here's what you got to do, you got to build whatever. Let's say a party room. You got to build a party room without neon fernie. Okay, well that's a challenge. Well, that's
yeah,
different. That's that gets that's
definitely.
making me
Now
think a little
people
bit,
vote for it.
right? So now
Yeah,
you're like, oh, wait a minute, this challenges the community to think of how am I gonna make a party room without neon fernie? Well, that's interesting. Well, okay, well let me try this, right? And I think once we get into the habit of changing the briefing, because right now, let's face it, they don't really follow it. Remember the Easter one where they were like, it has to be funny, has to make us laugh. And I'm just like, I took it literally where I put a joke, like where it's like a cracked egg in my room,
yeah,
and I
but it
clearly
wasn't
didn't fit.
symmetrical.
It wasn't symmetrical. Well, you know what? You're 100% right. I thought about it too. I was like, I should do it symmetrical. I'm just like, I'm an idiot.
I did
but
tell you. I did tell you.
You did. You know what's funny? You did. But I love, and again, like I'm biased to what I wanted to design. I was like, I really like this. I think this is cool and different to build a cracked egg with a sign that says "Help me." I thought that was funny, but clearly I missed the memo. I should have done a pirate ship. Sorry, Dovak. Um, but in terms,
That was a weird one. But hey, yeah.
hey,
Just the fact
they
that there
cracked the
was two
code.
ships, it felt a bit weird. Like just with the Easter theme. Like they were definitely Easter themed ships, but it was just odd to see two ships in the top three, even
Yeah.
though the rooms were awesome. Like it was just a, it was really, it confused me. I'll be honest. Like I love the rooms. I love Dovak's rooms. I always do.
You don't want to
But
do?
I was kind of like, there's two ships. There's two ships in the top three for an Easter comp is
It's
just
weird. Yeah. It's different. You know,
because
this doesn't make
there was
sense.
other like really cool, more Eastery, funny ideas. Like Dinos was one that sticks in my head with the thing eating the. I think it's just like a bunny eating
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
gifts and stuff like
Yeah, yeah. There
that.
was like
That was
that.
funny,
There's like
and
chocolate. There
yours
was a
was
chocolate
funny. Like
factory
it
one
just
too.
wasn't symmetrical. I honestly
Yes.
think if you'd have done it symmetrical, you would have hit it. I'm just saying.
I know, I know, I know. It honestly, that competition, I still kept part of the room because I thought I did a good job, but in terms of it, I hope they like just reinvent the wheel a little bit. Like I'll be honest with you, if I see another party room, if this month's room comp is a party room, I'm telling you right now, I'm building a huge ship with a party room built in. And that's it. I'm just gonna do a pirate ship with a literally neon tiles, just all in the center of it, and that's it. It's party on a ship. That's what I'm gonna
Yeah,
do. And if it wins,
just make sure there's lots
I'm
of
gonna say I
DJ
cracked the code.
decks. Yeah,
A bunch of
and
DJ
the
jacks
ship's
built it. Yeah,
symmetrical down the middle.
symmetry exactly.
That's what
I
you
will
need.
do all that. And if I make it top three, I swear to God, I'm done.
You'll probably
Done.
get the gold hammer off it, and that like is
Imagine.
exactly how I thought
You
when they
cover
did a
all
symmetrical
three,
room.
right? You get a ship, you get party room, and it's symmetrical. You crack the code. That's it. We have
Yeah,
Leo. Thanks for the idea. You know, I want everyone to do it. I want everyone to just get up in there. And Matthew had a good
yeah,
point. You could use the crime tape Fernie that just got released as the party room. You know, that's a
yeah,
I don't know what party rooms will look good with that, unfortunately. And hey, but we have super rares in the game now with with those plans, so I don't know if many people are buying that. I'd love to see how many people
yeah.
spent their money on that,
I know
but
it's Habbo colors, but it really just does look t like tape. Like I
yeah,
get what they were going for, but because of the color scheme, like it's it really just looks like it's draped in like someone just ripped the like a crime scene tape off, like trying to walk through, or like it was an old building. Like I can imagine for Halloween, you want to do like a spooky thing, they might be useful. But like
yeah.
someone broke through the crime scene tape and left like footprints. Here's some ideas for later in the year, guys.
Oh, look at that!
Um,
Look at that!
but I think also another thing around room building, and this is probably a controversial take, and it's even odd coming from me, but I have made the thread about it. The feedback thread is, I think I've heard a lot of people's visions, and they even have the stuff and the ideas, but some certain stacking things are very inconsistent, even for people who are really, really good at stacking. I've heard these complaints. I think it's worth considering a poll for a stacking tile, something like that, to just give accessibility back. We're already using commands anyway, and rollers are pretty much unused in stacking for the most part. So people who would say, "Oh, it's not old school," we've gone past that anyway. We really have gone past it. We're just doing it the hard way at this point. I feel like when we could create these awesome builds with the ideas people have if they just had the tools given to them for like usability. And maybe I should have said that when you asked a modern thing to bring in. There's one for you, the stack tile. We need that.
Don't.
We need something like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I do like the idea of it. Yeah, because it would simplify the process, and it could also like we would see some unreal rooms as long as it doesn't go any further than that. I think that stack tile could make a difference, but yeah, it could be a bit of a hot take in terms of like I don't know what the community would want at the end of it, but it's not the origins approach to stacking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very curious. I would also like the
Yeah,
stacking tile as long as it's not like you don't pay for credits to buy one. You know, like I want it to be like literally built into like the room, and you can just use it whenever you want. I think that'd be pretty good. I also want a toggle where it keeps people in the room, where, where when it doesn't have you kicked out every so often.
Uh, I
But
keep
it's
forgetting to wave
it's
because
all
I'm
good.
trying
It's all
not to
good.
click all the time. But
It's all
yeah,
good.
I think if they were going to introduce it, we'd have to expect it would be a paid item, but it's not
Yeah.
expensive. Like it's like having a Z shell for rollers. But the only reason I suggest it now is the majority of the community, I'm going to guess, don't stack, don't know a whole lot about all the intricacies and
Or don't
like
like it,
the
or
high
don't. It
skill
takes
stuff.
it
And
takes a while.
it takes a long time to do things. And some things that look simple are super hard. And then there's things that look complicated that are actually like you can do it in like 5 seconds if you know what you're doing. But
100%.
it's like this unwritten rule book. And part of what I have done up until this point is try and help people through that and give them, and you yourself too have the videos out there
Yeah. I
of
still gotta make the one
like
that you
how
had
to do some
recently.
of these, how to do some of these stacks and make things work in a certain way. But like you said, some things you still can't do that by introducing the stack tile you could.
Yeah.
And I know that there was a statement made like you shouldn't be able to put those things together when I brought it up once upon a time. But if you look at like the majority of rooms that have ever won room comps, man, they don't. The things that are together aren't meant to. Most stacking isn't supposed to be possible. It's a bug that you're abusing basically. You're abusing how your avatar interacts with sitting down so that you can roll items onto chairs and flipping Z's underneath and switching between two commands so that
Yeah, it
you can
shouldn't
do
be
two
possible.
different
Yeah.
sets of things. These are all things like if you're talking like you want to be like we only do old school stacking, then remove stack mode completely.
True.
Remove that.
True.
Go back to rollers. It's miserable. And no one's doing it with rollers unless they have no clue. So you might as well just add the stack tool. That's my hot take. You might as well just add a stacking tool for user experience. You want to
True.
keep people in the game, sticky gameplay. Let people just build the rooms how they want. Let them put the stuff where they want to put it. If you want to put
True.
50 couches up in a big stack, 1 inch away from each other, then you should be able to. Like, just let
Yeah.
people do it at this point. It's
I not gonna lie.
it's so limiting. I
I
don't
would
know why.
I would love that. I'm not as you are saying it in my mind. Like, stay in this room here. I'm gonna jump into the Halloween town. This is a room I had created, and it took me a while. I have a big pumpkin in the middle of the room, and that
Yeah,
stack and fitting all those pumpkins perfectly. And I had to write down on a piece of paper how I was gonna make a face with this pumpkin. And I'm not gonna lie, I'd love a stacking tile in this instance because I had to use rollers because I wanted to drop to the ground. And we didn't,
yeah,
by this point in October, we didn't have the stack mode commands. So this here was only being, you can only do it with rollers. And this was like that was a pain. And I personally would want to yeah, as you're saying it, like I nodded in my head. I'm just like, you know what, I want this. Like it would save me time. And there should be, you shouldn't be, your whole time in the game shouldn't be just building a room, right?
yeah.
I think the game should be spent in multiple different ways. So I think that'd be the goal. And Leo, we actually touched on Wired earlier. I don't think it's early to add Wired as long as it's simple. Like I think it's like just a basic version. I don't want us. I don't think we should ever go the route of modern where there's so many different abilities that you can do with it and different pieces. But when it comes to a basic version of Wired, maybe with like a bot, for example, like throwing out a word and a response with something like in a maze, or maybe you do something and a lodge door opens up. I want to see stuff like that, like very basic. or kind of like Murdoch's. Murdoch has something obviously that he's created himself. I forgot what the game is called. It was the coding game? Like it's like code. You have to like figure out like the code with those battle ball trophies. Like just simple, like simple shit. I think that I can see in the game, and I'd be okay with it. But anything further from that, that is that is a little much. Yeah, like exactly. Telling a password and then the Gothic gates opened up. Like that. That's exciting. I think that can make the game a little bit more fun, and also easier to manage if you don't have people to help you managing different rooms, right? Like when I build competitions, I have to do everything myself, right? I don't really have another person helping me out, so I'd love if that was a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I think it will just open up build comps. You'll
oh,
see a
for
lot
sure.
more entries and a lot more cool entries and ideas because you're no longer limited by that you don't know how to do five different techniques on top of each other to make a certain thing look a certain way.
Yeah.
And oh, I accidentally pulled this thing out of a stack, so now I have to spend the whole 2 hours or however long to do some big. If you're doing like a really big thing and you pull it out with a stack tile, you can just place a stack tile back in, put it to the spot where it's supposed to go, and you
Oh
just place
yeah,
it
you
back
could
in.
fix something. Oh my god,
Like,
the amount of times I've messed something up and I gotta like redo the
yes,
stack. Oh my
you
god,
can fix
yeah.
everything, and you can like run an idea and be like, I'll put them this close together. You can do
Oh,
that
you
quickly,
sold
and then
me.
go, no, it doesn't look good.
That oh, that
I'll just
sold me.
change the distance. Yeah.
That sold me
Like
even
I'm just
more.
saying, there's a
Oh
thread
yeah,
out there. This is
yeah,
one of those things that I think if I'm right, and the majority of the community would actually find that useful. If we make a bit of noise, there's potential they might consider because it wouldn't be hard to implement. It exists. It
hmm
existed long enough ago that it wouldn't be hard to port in. It would be something like that they could probably add fairly easily if the community really wanted it. I think it should go to a poll
yeah, yeah, for sure, for
anyway.
sure. Yeah,
But I think to get it to even to a poll, I think it would have to be in the view of Dave. Basically, he would have to see that it's not just like a few of us that want something like that. And I might be wrong. Maybe
yeah,
no one really cares and really wants it, and that's fine. I know how to do these things, and I have a huge advantage in room comps because I do.
yeah.
And I'm happy to keep teaching people how to do those things. But I'd much rather just be able to say, I'll show you how to use the stack tool. Super simple. Once you know,
And you can still
easy.
do the other way
Like
too.
you
Like it
can just
doesn't stop you from doing the other way. Like if you wanted to, if you don't want to use a stack
no, no,
tile
yeah.
either,
You
right?
could build old school style if you really want to. Like you can
Yeah,
just use rollers and stuff if you really want. But there's also like combinations of things. Like there's still some skill to like the first iteration of the stack tool, like how you can use it, how you can put things together, thinking about like how certain things interact, like an overlap, like
hmm
learning what overlaps at what space. Because like there's overlapping in big rooms, even like fixed a lot of it, but there's always little bits and pieces that do. But when something's like just point 0.1 higher than something, it won't overlap anymore. And just knowing that kind of stuff and being easily able to do it, I think it's something that if they added it, everyone would be like, yes, this is way better.
Especially as Frankie's saying in the chat here, if they did like a trial, like they just give it to you for you to test out for like a week, and then a poll happens. You know what I mean? Like, all right, everyone,
They could
here's a little trial, enjoy it, and now let's poll it.
absolutely. And then you could just get rid of all the stupid. Like I know Dave doesn't even want commands, and he's looking for like UI places to put it in the UI. You wouldn't even need to do that. You just get rid of stack mode completely. It wouldn't be needed anymore. You could just have things stack as you'd expect if you just do it manually, like placing things on tables would just happen as you'd want it. And if you want to do anything else more complicated, you have a tool. It's easy, easy to understand, and no one is going to be confused by it. You want to bring in players from long ago or even newer players, which I don't know how many people would pick up this game who've never touched anything to do with Habbo in their life, but
hmm
maybe.
I'll be
But
honest with you.
I think
The people thinking new players joining this game is not gonna happen, guys. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's not a game that will flourish like other games. Like, it's just not there. Maybe we'll get like 1,000 max, but to flourish like in the past, no. We have to wake up, unfortunately. And I don't see this game ever. Like, here's a perfect example. Are you going around telling all your friends you're playing Habbo? Like, everyone here watching, like, ask yourself that right now. Are you going around when they're saying, "Hey, what games are you playing?" "Oh, I'm playing this game. You should play." Well, I guarantee that most of us probably aren't doing that, and like really in our personal life, not like in our gamer life, but in our personal life with our friends and family, are we, you know, speaking highly of this game to get them to join? I personally am not, right? And that's I'll speak only for myself there. Now, to jump into just the end part of this podcast, I want to jump into some rapid fire questions, and then I have one question that I wanted to ask earlier, but I'm going to ask it at the end, from a
okay.
special person. Okay, so rapid fire
All right.
questions. So yeah, so it'll be like a would you rather. So
Yeah.
first
All
things
right.
first, would you rather to explore space or a deep ocean?
I think the ocean, because there's so much down. Like we don't know half the stuff that's down there.
That's true.
Space
That's
is
true.
space is so vast, and it would take you forever. But I think if you had the tech to actually go deep enough down into the water to the places we've never seen, that would be cool. That'd be cooler at the moment.
Okay. Would you rather time travel to the past or to the future?
Past. I don't
Past.
like. I don't like the idea of not knowing where I'm going. If you go to the future, you don't know what you're going to. Whereas if you go to the past, you can kind of pick a particular place and time and go, yeah, I know what I'm going to be faced with. Especially if you pick a time where you were alive. Like you just go, yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that answer. Let's see here. Throne or typewriter?
I'm gonna have to say typewriter. Reason being,
Oh, okay.
from the AU hotel, it was a throne was a 25 credit rare. No one cared about them. Like they were equal to a majestic chair pretty much on our hotel. Typewriters were cool. They were the super rare, pretty
Okay.
much. There was a guy named Unique. He had like 250 of them,
Oh,
and he was like the richest guy at the time. And it like he had the majority, and it was just like one of those things, especially when you just started playing, you were like, you'd look up to it and be like, man, wish I had 250 typewriters.
imagine. All right. This one here. Would you rather Halloween competitions from Habbo or Christmas? So, do you like Christmas more or Halloween?
I I would rather Christmas, but just never ever do what they did
Party?
again last
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, just
I
do
agree. I
not
agree.
do not do that again.
Oh man, that's I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Um, okay, let's see here. Would I asked this to Sofa before, and I thought it was a good question. Would you rather live in a pixel world or bring Fernie from Habbo to real life?
Uh, I'd rather bring like if they work functionally, I would bring stuff into real life. Like even in this room, imagine like a sweet coffee machine that's like about this big. You just chuck it in. You just put your hand in. Bam! I've got a coffee ready
Unlimited.
to go. Yeah, there's no limit. It just constantly pumps out coffee, and I could get a cola machine that gives me milk. Like you
Oh,
never know what
oh,
you're gonna get.
100%. You never know what you're gonna get. All right, and then the last question for the podcast here is from a special person, your boss, Ash. So she
Um,
asks, ask his thoughts on his head mod, Ash.
my thoughts, I would say she cares more about everything that there is to do with keeping everyone safe and supported than anyone deserves. But I'm thankful that she does. I just think she cares a lot, and I think people probably maybe misunderstand how much she's doing in the background, like just supporting with Discord stuff and supporting the staff and doing all these other little projects outside of just the moderation side of things. Like it's a lot
That's a
of
good
work
answer.
for nothing because in reality, the Discord mods, head mod, not like in terms of like you look at every other sort of volunteer based thing in Habbo, there's all something like there's a minimum a badge or something you can earn even for content creators who didn't get the trophies unfortunately. At least there's something. She just does it for the love of it. I think that's and she's done it this whole time. So I think that's really cool.
I think that's a, as Inks put it, that's a wholesome answer, and I agree. I think Ash does great for what she does, and I'll be honest with you, doing a volunteer type of work and dealing with the community that we have, that is,
Mm,
I don't know anyone that would deal with what we deal with or see in their own life, in their own job out there, right? So for yourself, who's obviously a moderator, not good compared to Ash, obviously. Um,
no.
um, but jokes aside, I think we have a good moderation team, and Ash being the head of it, I think is good, and especially you want someone that cares, like you said, about what she does, and she seems like she enjoys it, or else she wouldn't be doing it for as long as she has, right? So, shout out to Ash, and that's gonna be the end of the stream here. For everyone watching, I really hope you enjoyed this podcast episode with our special guest. I have to say 11, but it's actually 1-1, which is it was something that blew my mind today. But 11, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I hope you had a great time. Maybe we'll have you again in the future. If you want to just say bye to everyone, and then we'll close it out.
All right. See everyone, and look out for the stackery on the quackery very soon.
Well, Stackery and the Quackery. I like it. I like it. Can't wait for that. Everyone watching the stream or listening after it's been recorded, thank you so much for coming by. It was a great time learning about different things, talking about different things, even some hot takes into the mix. And this was episode 3 on the Quack podcast, the first and currently only community podcasts out there, and we look forward for more guests. We have Dovag happening next week, and then I have a secret one that's going to be coming on next. So Dovag will be our special guest next. That will be happening on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. We look for that, and then after that, we got one hell of a good guest as well. That one is pre-recorded, so we'll see how we do that one. And then we have other people in the list as well. And if you yourselves in the community have recommendations of who you want to see, I'm willing to, hear it out and see. I want to get some prominent community people out there like 11. Maybe we'll get Ash next, in the future. Who knows? Maybe she'd be down, right? So we'll look forward to that. And yeah, thanks again for watching. And as always, we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.